The new opening in One Piece really got me thinking about, instead of a top 10 strongest in One Piece, who are the top 10 closest to getting the One Piece? Not just that, but if one of these individuals found the One Piece, what would they want to do with the world since they'll be able to change it now? And I'm gonna start off with Kobe because I think the world he would create would be a pretty decent one. Now I know when this first happened, people were clowning on Kobe because it's like, who does he think he is? Like, he's stopping Blackbeard, Luffy, and whatnot from getting the One Piece. You're not even on Garp level. But those are people that are just thinking as far as power scaling goes. Like, this goes beyond power scaling. This is about heart, willpower, and drive. Like, if you haven't noticed, Buggy's in the race of getting the One Piece. So obviously, power really don't matter. It's all about charisma and what you do with what you have. Kobe at Marineford has seen the corruption firsthand, so he knows exactly what not to do whenever he gets the One Piece. If what Vegapunk's saying is true about whoever gets the One Piece gets to dictate what happens in the world, Kobe is going to get rid of all corruption in the Marines. Think a police force that never had any corruption. They never did any racial profiling. They only protected and served, and they did so much that you could actually use 311 and just call these people just to chill. That's the type of world Kobe wants. That's why the story depicts him as like the future of the Marines. That's why Garp risked his life to save his. I would say that with Kuzan, it would also be pretty good. Kuzan's the same man that saw Akainu back when he was a vice admiral kill a whole fleet of civilians because they might know something and his justice is absolute. Kuzan in charge would make sure that that never happens, but if Kuzan's in charge, the Buster Call in the first place might still go through. But we don't know this entirely because we don't know everything about Kuzan just yet. But between him and Kobe, I would definitely say he has a better idea on how to make the Marines run, even if it's less idealistic. But it would definitely be better than the way Akainu did it because his absolute justice would make them like very dictatorship-like. Akainu is fine with murdering civilians to make sure that his justice is preserved. That is not a man you ever want finding the One Piece. Keep in mind, according to Vegapunk, whoever finds the One Piece is going to be ruling over that new world, so basically you'd be in Imu's position. Akainu in Imu's position is causing a lot of harm to a lot of people. Some candidates that I could just skip over like Garling and Shamrock, because with these people, it might just be like an Imu 2.0. Like, that's the same man that said those who save trash are less than trash. Him and his son can get on out of here because nobody wants either of them to get the One Piece. As far as likelihood, I would definitely say they are at the very bottom because Imu is not gonna get usurped by their own people. In the event that Imu wins, they try to take Imu's spot, Imu just finna kill them the same way Imu killed Saturn. Now let's look at the 4 emperors. Blackbeard is immediately out because if this dude's in charge, the world is probably just gonna be worse off than it is currently. It would be a world with freedom, but it would just be like the freedom to do whatever you wanted and the most evil dude is in charge, so all the people that got evil in their hearts are free to do whatever they want. Screw this world. It would be so bad that I'm pretty sure we all understand that Kuzan would definitely be the wrench in his plan because he does not want the world that Blackbeard wants to make. He don't want the world Akainu want to make. And then when you look at Buggy, honestly, I don't really think Buggy should be in the conversation because while he does want the One Piece, he will not know what to do with the world. And to quote Luffy, he's kind of an idiot. So I really don't think he'd be in any position to take over anything. Who would actually be in charge of the throne at that point would be Crocodile. He's the brain behind Crossgill, but also don't forget, back in Alabasta, despite the messed up stuff he was doing behind the scenes, he was not a bad leader. Even now with Crossgill, he was just trying to make his own territory that he can rule, and since we saw in Alabasta he's a good leader, the world might just be kind of chill. Now, it definitely won't be perfect because he's a pirate, so there'd still be corruption like there is in the world today. He won't undo that because he uses those services. But I would definitely take him over Shamrock, his daddy, Akainu, or even Blackbeard. When it comes to Shanks, I'll take him off the table because at the end of the day, he knows that the One Piece is not for him. He's not gonna take it and do anything with it. He's here to make sure Luffy gets it. At least, that's what we all speculate. Talking about Luffy now, the world would actually be a pretty good place, like the opposite of Blackbeard, where everybody has the freedom to do whatever they want, but it would be people using their freedom in a good way. Because if Luffy has the power to like be at the top of the world at that point, if he sees that you're messing with people that he cares about in a different country because you're using your freedom to oppress others, he will stop you. Honestly, this might be one of the best worlds to live in, but my top world so far, one that either Sabo or Dragon would end up creating, because these people are not only way smarter than Luffy and they know how to run a military, they know how to run entire factions and countries. Like, Dragon would be the ideal person personally to find the One Piece. If he got that treasure first, if he got the empty throne seat, the world is gonna be a-okay. And Sabo, who took after him, who at a very young age hated his family royalty and hated the nobles, I'd have to say the world he would create would also be a very good one, if not like very close to Dragon. So after all that, let's look here and rank who would be the best person to find the One Piece versus who'd be the worst. Starting from the bottom and working our way up, I would say the worst one would have to be Garling and Shamrock. I think them finding it would be worse than Emu because Emu's like the world that we've been seeing, and as messed up as it is, there have been some people that had some time that was decent. Something tells me personally that Garling just cares way less about people than even Emu does, if you could believe it. And I'm kind of typecasting him, but I'm gonna put his son Shamrock in the same category because kicking him in when they down like Loki, he's already not a good person to me. After them, it would definitely be Emu because nobody wants the world that we currently live in. And after him, I would say Blackbeard because this world is going to just be chaos incarnate and nobody wants to live in that. Above Blackbeard, I'll put Akainu because even though he is an absolute justice dickhead that will kill off civilians in the name of justice, overall, if there's no like world government, that should mean that if you don't do bad things, nothing bad should happen to you. So it would still suck, but it would definitely be better than Shamrock, Garling, Emu, or Blackbeard. Right above them, I'm putting Buggy, aka Sir Crocodile, because this world definitely would still have its flaws, but it would be better than every world of the person I just said. After Crocodile, I got Kobe, because even though I know the world he wants to make is going to be a good one, and he has seen a lot in the world of One Piece to know exactly what to do and what not to do. Characters like Dragon, Sabo, Kuzan, they would have a better idea on how to like implement these things than a 17-year-old boy would. That's just me. Speaking of Kuzan, I got him right afterward because even though he definitely knows what not to do when making the Marines, the lack of clarity that he can have at times is definitely not something that you want in a position of power. What if he works with a dude like Blackbeard after he makes it up there? That might like create a chain of changes that messes up a lot of countries. Not saying that he would do it because I'm pretty sure he's using Blackbeard as a means to an end, but I need to see more resolve from Kuzan first before I could put him higher on this tier list. Because Shanks doesn't want the treasure, that does put Kuzan in the top 5 people that I would want to have the One Piece. After him, I'm putting Sabo. From a boy to a man, he knows exactly what he doesn't want out of the world nobles and the world government. And then number 2 on the list, I got Luffy because he cares a lot for the people around him. So in the world that's just full of everybody just doing whatever they want, he would stop anybody wanting to use that freedom for wrong, and then that world would pretty much be the world everybody wants to live in. That type of world is like the world that God intended for everybody to live in. But for me personally, my number 1 spot still only goes to Dragon because I haven't seen the world Luffy's trying to make, but I have constantly seen Dragon make moves on making this world a better place, and I think he would probably be the best person to lead everything because Luffy will be bad at delegating. Luffy will be the type of leader to be like, you can do whatever you want, and if you need help, just call on me and I got you. With the power of imagination on this side, he could probably be right there to help you whenever you need the help. But he probably wouldn't put no checks and balances in place to make sure you did need that help in the first place. Dragon is the only person in the show that I think has taken all that stuff into account, that he would be the best possible leader to lead the rest of the world. And I think that also makes sense because he is Sun God Nika's father. Let this dude grow up first, you know, hit like a good solid 35, 40 even, then he can run the world. But until then, Dragon is the person that I want to find the One Piece the most. But what do you think? Out of all the people that are in the race for the One Piece, who would you want to find the One Piece the most?